Welcome back. I hope everyone's either sitting, standing, or driving comfortably. Because if you aren't, I'm starting anyway. So I recently made a Last of Us video on the show. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. And yeah, had a good discussion with a lot of people on that. A lot of perspectives I hadn't seen before or hadn't seen worded in such ways. But yeah, above all, I got pretty good interactions with some people. And instead of talking more about Last of Us show or any of those interactions and making my points clearer, I'm just going to talk about how I would rewrite The Last of Us Part 2. I know. I might get to that. I genuinely might. I do enjoy a good Last of Us chat because I understand the game is in a very divisive position and there's one half of the people that, hate it and another half love it. So chance to get good chats and chance to learn more about it, or just more about human nature in general. But we're not here for that. We're here for my rewrite, okay? So the main story beats would remain the same. It's gonna be a story around Joel and Ellie, and it's gonna be a revenge quest or a rescue mission, then a revenge quest. Yeah, I know. Now I've got you listening. So Ellie and Dean are gonna remain the same. Joel's gonna meet his end, and Abby's gonna be doing Abby stuff. The thing I'm not going to have, as before mentioned, I don't know, because I've made about 5 edits so far of these, is we're not going to have a main Abby story, but you can have the Abby story as a DLC because even though I really didn't like the story, Abby's sections were the most fun. Similar to a lot of Micah's early missions in Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't like that guy, alright, but I want to make a video on him too one day. So forget about Micah. Right. So let's just get to the rewrite already. We can start off very similar to how the second game begins. We got a snowstorm, we got a ton of infected, and we got Abby's group. The difference I'd make immediately is Abby's group has been there a lot longer and they've been wrecking the area, making sure they know the ins and outs, making sure they know everything about the place. You can have them look a lot more competent, have them sketched out the map of Jackson, and have them having written out patrol times, patrol sizes, um, who's likely who, and they've got a plan that they intend on enacting. So the large horde of infected, we're not going to make that an accident thing. Abby's a lot more competent than that. What Abby's going to do is she's going to get her friends and she's going to horde the infected towards Jackson by using horses to lure them in. And what that's going to do is we're already going to have Dina and we're going to have Ellie going out on patrol together, and they can begin their relationship outside the walls. You can have your good world building bit, you can talk about Eugene, etc. And Joel and Tommy are also out doing runs. Then Ellie and Dina can have a nice guitar scene, which triggers the infected because you can't make noise in the apocalypse. Hate to tell you. And the Battle of Jackson happens. During the Battle of Jackson, you can have waves and waves of infected coming in, but Jackson's going to be better prepared than they were in the show. Instead of just having flamethrowers mounted on people's backs, they're going to be full blown mounted guns. They're going to be capable of stretching from one side of the street all the way to the other, like real flamethrowers. And you're going to have tanks the size of bloody water towers. Because in an event like an army of infected is wanting to break down your walls and this is your last safe haven, you're going to want to be pulling out all the stops. I also think a good idea would be obstacles and trenches. Tommy would also know his town like the back of his hand. So him getting lost in there while a bloater chases him, thankfully, would never happen. And obviously, Tommy, as aforementioned, does not magically teleport, so he would still be out on a run by this point. Jackson would also be better protected. You could have, say, a bit of an onion layer, which, if you don't know what that means, is you can have several layers of security. You'd have people in bunkers or hideaways looking away. Outside of Jackson, looking down and reporting back to people inside Jackson. You can use beacons or whatever to give them an early warning system or bells or whatever else. And Jackson would also have a inner layer, which would be basically just a metal compound where all your people would live inside, i.e. the vulnerable, the sick, the elderly, children, behind, say, a portcullis, which has got a trench in it as well, and a moat, whatever you want to do with it. Abby's team, they use the Battle of Jackson or the Infected as a good excuse to sneak in their way, whether they're using pole vaulting equipment, they dig a mini trench, they snip some wires, they drive a truck into the bloody wall to breach it. I don't care, but they get in. Their main target is capturing Maria. Now, you don't get a lot of story beats about Maria within the games, and Maria's a pretty cool character, so this would also give you a bit more insight into her. It's also going to be obvious that the WLF will leave clues to what they've done. They'll make sure someone sees them taking Maria without endangering themselves. So, i.e., someone that's unarmed would see it happening, or someone that they would deem as not a threat. Or just straight up wound someone like the bigot sandwich guy. They're then going to get Maria out there probably the same way they got in, just reverse pole vault her out. I know now that sounds silly. And they make tons of mess in the snow, tons of tracks, make it obvious where they're going back to their base. Then they leave tracks from whatever vehicle they use to get out, and a clue seemingly from Maria. Presumably they had her there for a while, at least it seems that way. And they scratch in, say, 5 letters. This way we can have a conversation between Tommy and Joel, trying to piece together what's going on, what's happening, and where this group could be from. Instead of Tommy seeing the jacket insignia and immediately recognizing the WLF. And while we're on the subject as well, can we say that that's one of the dumbest reasons for knowing that they're from Washington, Seattle, or Seattle, Washington, however you want to describe it? In that if you were going to go and do some serious assassination, would you really wear insignia from your army that tells you exactly where you hail from? Now, here's another one as well. How did Tommy, a Wyoming resident, know about a Washington faction known as the WLF? When Joe was there in Salt Lake City, I think it was a year, maybe 2, until the WLF even formed. And in Salt Lake, the WLF weren't there because that's a completely different state. And, excuse me, Abby also started out as a Firefly, then went northwest, if my geography's right, this is off the top of my head, into Washington, and then joined a faction that is against Fedra, and I don't know, doesn't really care too much about the Fireflies. Instead of trying to build her old faction, she stayed with them instead. And how she found Joel is a bigger mystery in itself, in that she spent years of searching, and then she just happened upon him. I'm not being funny, but America's a really big place. Like, and how do you even know that Joel's still going to be alive at that point? And also, while you were doing your searching, was that like whilst you're in Washington serving the WLF? I mean, I know that's not going to take 100% of your time up, but I mean, this is the apocalypse, and you are going to be like, you know, surviving day to day and fighting a war against the Seraphites. So there might be quite a bit of a time commitment to that. Then Isaac, with no concrete proof, just sends one of his top soldiers out to go on a revenge mission with another crew of his top soldiers, including one of his medics who happens to be pregnant at the same time. Or maybe she wasn't showing then. I mean, it is a very long journey for the crew. And she also found the time to get absolutely fucking jacked. I'm not jealous, I'm jacked too. Who'd have thought it. Anyway, so now that we've got that out of the way, we've got some clues for everyone to find. But how did Abby find Joel? Well, let's just say Marlene may have left some kind of notes, have a mini conversation that you didn't see in the first one. Anything along the lines, a throwaway line, whatever. Something to build something concrete on that Marlene takes a note of. There, you've got a rough direction. Anyway, so not the best, but for a short period of time, the best I can do without fully retconning the first game, alright? So if you want more, like I said, give me some comments and then I'll fucking go full in depth. Anyhow, so Joel and Tommy decide that they're going to go and get Maria. They both realize it's a trap. Ellie comes in from doing whatever she was doing with Dina. The pair have just got together, and Dina wants to go with Ellie and Ellie wants to join Tommy and Joel. Joel basically says, lol, get fucked. Me and Tommy are doing this alone. You're staying here where it's safe. Ellie's still kind of a bit funny with Joel, obviously, because of all the Firefly frivolity. And Joel says, this is happening, and just leaves. Ellie has a bit of a moment and then eventually decides, fuck it, I'm going as well. So Joel's maybe got about half a day head start on Ellie, and Dina decides she's going to go along with Ellie to make sure she's safe. And then a little bit later, Jesse realizes that Ellie and Dina have left, and he knows that Dina's pregnant, so he's going to follow on after her. Still with me? Excellent. So we're following pretty much the same beats from the the original script, but with a little bit added story. So Joel and Tommy start tracking them down in the rough direction that they would go. They know what roads are stable. They know what routes they can use. So they travel with behind them using caution. They run into clickers. They run into fucking bandits, etc. Keep in mind the road is still dangerous. They come in contact with people that have seen the WLF crew, and they extort information out of them, say roughly and what they're carrying, etc., etc. Did they still have the blonde woman with them? Basic stuff. So we get to the point when Joel and Tommy are in range of Abby's crew's radios, and they basically hear a bit of back and forth between them, and Abby's crew mistakenly or unmistakably drop a piece of info that lead Joel and Tommy further towards them. This turns out to be a trap, and Joel and Tommy are separated after Abby releases a ton of infected from a curtainside truck. And Tommy and Joel run together through some buildings, and the floor collapses under Joel's weight. He is the heavier man after all. And Joel, just like Ellie, ends up falling into a fast-flowing river that takes him into a storm drain, sewer, whatever those things are. And you can have Joel going through there, doing some infected ass kickery. You can even have a new infected type, maybe even a slightly smaller Rat King in a different circumstance to make it more fun and difficult. Then you have Joel coming out the storm drain and back onto the main street, but Abby's already intercepted where he's going to be and shoots him in the leg. So Joel's lying on the ground. He's bleeding out. He's just been hit. He can't stand. Tommy closes in on the sound of the gunfire, as is other infected. Abby's crew also sees Joel and attempts to apprehend him and take him away. But Joel manages to, say, kill a couple of them before they manage to fully restrain him. When Tommy catches up, and obviously he's been through a few fights with the infected as well, he sees his brother about to be hanged from a streetlight or lamppost if you come from my country. And a firefight ensues. Joel starts getting hanged off the light. Tommy shoots the rope. At this point, this causes a ton of commotion, and Ellie and Dina manage to close in onto the sound of the firefight, and they fight off the infected to get to Tommy. Then it's Tommy, Ellie, Dina versus Abby and her crew. Abby's crew gets pushed back. Then Tommy, seeing the lull in the battle, goes to grab his brother. At that point, you think everything's safe, and Joe gets shot in the back and slumps into his brother's arms, fully dead. Yeah, I know. My fan fiction did the thing as well. Well, my fan fiction could have also made Joel fucking Captain America, but I didn't want to go down that route. I've already got a video talking about that guy, or the new Captain America, or the sort of new whatever. Right, so Joel still meets his end at the hands of Abby, but it's in a completely different way. So, as we've discussed earlier, Abby's crew seem a lot more capable this time round. They've actually got ways and means of entering Jackson, ways and means of drawing out Joel, which actually makes somewhat sense. And Joel actually goes out like Joel, not by making a ton of stupid decisions, and basically the writer is pushing into a situation that he would never get into himself. So, and also to mention in my version, Joel ends up on his own through a perfectly reasonable reason. He's running through a destroyed building, and the reason why he's going through that destroyed building is because he's being chased by a horde of clickers. Could him and Tommy turn around and start beating the crap out of all of them? I mean, maybe it is Joel and Tommy after all, but could they also take on them plus Abby's crew firing rounds at them? Maybe not. Is it the smartest move to run through a building like that? Maybe not. However, Joel makes that decision. If he runs backwards, let's say, for example, there's no way behind him, there's no way right. So effectively, Abby will have channeled him into running through these buildings or get ripped apart by the infected or get hit by her crew's snipers. They're simples. So Joel makes the best decision he can with the information that he has. Abby wasn't expecting Joel to fall through the fucking floor, wasn't expecting him to land in the river. However, she adapted and she made a good choice from there. Joel also doesn't go down, you know, measly and lets all happen. Joel goes out fighting, and even when Joel's injured, he even takes out a couple of members of her crew. Now, this is a bit of a catalyst moment, a bit of a watershed moment as well, right? So instead of putting this moment smack bang at the beginning of the game, 2 hours in, you can give a bit of gameplay with Joel as well. And now we're going to have a good transition between Ellie and Dina, and obviously the feeling between Tommy as well. So first of all, you had Ellie and Dina were kind of chasing after Joel and Tommy. They were worried, but they were more thinking that they were going to be the rescue squad and everything was going to go all right. You have them going through certain areas that Joel and Tommy have been through, and you just see blood and bodies and everyone that they've left behind. Get it. And eventually, you can have them come across a welcome package from Tommy, basically have some ammunition, have some water, and leaving a note behind, basically saying, I understand why you're coming, and I knew you'd end up finding this. Um, I've left some water and ammunition, enough for you guys, to get back home, make it easier for you. Do not follow us. We got this covered. We're bringing Maria back. Something along those lines, because, that's her uncle at the end of the day, and he would care about her. Joel's probably one track minded at the minute. He'll still be thinking about Ellie, don't get me wrong, but I get the feeling it would more likely come from Tommy because in this rewrite as well, mind that Joel and Ellie are still a bit kind of funny with each other. And I think Joel would probably stand up for himself a bit more than he does in the game. I like the idea of Joel going, get fucked, I saved your life, there was no cure, instead of having another massive crying session about it. And brainstorming rewrites great, it's almost as if I can make up my rules as I go along. Anyway, what I was trying to say with that rabbit hole ridden, uh, rambling bullshit was there's going to be a dynamic shift between Ellie, Tommy, and Dina also. So Dina's gonna massively change, stay the same as the emotional rock of the group, basically, almost the voice of the audience. Whereas Ellie and Tommy are gonna go down a very violent, disturbing kind of path. Uh, in the background, we're gonna have Jesse using some detective skills, doing some work and studying areas that the group have been, like a crime scene. He eventually catches up to a wolf and is able to interrogate them for information. And he has some inside info on Abby's group. Lucky for him. And provides two useful pieces of info, one on Abby's group, one on something else. When Jesse catches up to them, he finds Tommy after he's doing a good bit of the old hacking and the slashing of the WLF, and lets him know that Maria is no longer alive. Abby personally executed her after they got Joel because they have no more use for her. And Dina is also pregnant. So this also changed the dynamic again because now Dina is forced to stay in their home base, and now it is no longer a rescue mission, it is now fully a revenge mission. So now you get your cycle of violence story, and Tommy and Ellie now really go to the dark side here, and instead of having the father daughter relationship or the happy Ellie and the gruff Joel, we've now got the very scary Ellie that is going down an incredibly dark path, and her uncle Tommy that is also fighting his own demons and trying to make sure his niece doesn't go the exact same way. Because as for families go, right now, I'd say Ellie is pretty much all he has. So, as much as Tommy's grappling with his own demons, he's trying to make sure that Ellie doesn't completely spiral out of control, which he is highly likely to do. Now, Dina, in the meantime, is gonna be pretty much now a homebody. And oh crap, I just made her a housewife. Do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm sick of pretending that there is. So Dina, because she is pregnant, is now forced to stay within the home base. Jesse is very much, insisting on her staying put. And Dina, however, is going to be very useful at that point. She's going to make sure the group has got some decent food, make sure they've got ammunition, make sure they've got clean water, and she's also going to be tracking their movements and where they go and figuring out a good place for them to go next, and basically trying to figure out exactly how they're going to get Abby. So she's going to be the moral compass side of the group and pretty much the brain. So you can have Ellie and Tommy going off and seeing what leads they can find. Jesse can also be doing the same thing, seeing if he can find and interrogate other WLF members, and eventually it leads to Abby. But in between then, I want to add in another interrogation scene because I love him so much. So this is the first time that Dina is going to see it up close, and we're going to see Ellie interrogating one of Abby's group, and it's going to be brutal as hell. And Dina's going to witness all of it. Dina is also going to be petrified of the pair of them, but she is very scared of Tommy, so she'll only confront Ellie. And it's going to feel maybe a bit reminiscent to Far Cry 3 when your friend or your girlfriend confronts you and starts saying you've got all these weird tattoos and you're carrying all these weapons. I don't know what to make of you anymore. And you're just like, yeah, shut up, bitch. I know a knife takedown. So the game is going to end not the exact same as the actual game. Abby's going to meet her end very, very violently along with the rest of her crew. WLF and Seraphites are going to destroy each other. And Ellie is, yeah, well, she's going to take it all the way and kill Abby, but she's going to keep a lot of the secrets from Dina and what she did. And that can kind of mirror what Joel did in the first Last of Us. So the game can end with them traveling back to Jackson, and they're carrying both bodies. They've got Maria and they've got Joel, and Ellie has pretty much lost every part of her humanity in the sake of her revenge, to the point that her girlfriend doesn't even know what to say to her anymore. Tommy has lost, well, very much everything by this point, and the game can end on a really, really sour note. Jesse on the upside, I mean, he can survive this because Jesse's an alright character, right? Um, you know, I mean, there's an upside in that. Dina survives too. Oh, you made it this far. Congratulations. So, in this rewrite, I'm not examining anything. I'm not doing my analysis on anything. I'm just saying what I would do. So, thanks for making it this far. These videos are actually take a bit longer than I thought they would. I'm gonna do a video on Pedro and Bella being miscast within the story, and why, even though Pedro is a great actor, he's not the one for this role. To be Joel, you've got to be a bit more rough around the edges. And even though he does try, he's just not quite there. I don't feel like he's Joel. He's not intimidating enough for me. Um, Bella Ramsey is just not Ellie. She doesn't have that childlike, whimsical wonder, and then she just goes to being kind of a stupid teenager, whereas Ellie was always really smart. So I don't kind of understand what creative decision that was, but there we go. I'm also going to make sure within the Bella Ramsey video, if you're expecting me to bully the crap out of her further, you're not going to get that. I'm just purely going to discuss her acting and why Ellie's terrible in this. Uh, for no other reason than I hate bullies, so I'm going to do my best not to become one. That includes bullying, by the way, and yeah, that's just not what I want to build my channel on while we're moving forward. So I've already sounded like a bully, then I've already fucked it. But from this point on, this line in the sand here, I'm gonna do my best. All right, becoming a better man. All right, okay. Yeah, make yourself uncomfortable now because I'm done talking.